So as you go back, what we notice is you hang right on that line. There's never a gap of any kind. Let's see how that plays out. In golf, something called an on-plane takeaway. That's when your hands and club run up a line off the bottom of your shaft. As you take this club away, you do that pretty well. You're a good player. You've got coached up, play college golf, all that good stuff. That's expected. In golf, there's something called depth. That's how far your hands move behind you in the golf swing. This red line, vertical red line, is where the butt end is at address. As you take this club up, what we notice is that you lack depth. So if I look at where your hands are relative to where they started, there's a lot of up.
Okay.
The problem with the club going up in the backswing is it wants to do what in the downswing?
Down.
It wants to come down.
Yeah.
And so if we think about ways to shallow the club, right, there's 3 really productive ways you can do it. You can do it by creating more depth, again, how far your hand's behind you. Maybe a good analogy is, if you go to throw a ball, you never throw it from your ear, you never take it straight above you, you take it and get it behind you.
Yeah.
And so if the club gets back here, physics would tell me that when I go to change direction, the club's going to want to lay down. If this club goes up and I start pulling it down, it's going to tell me it's going to want to stand back up. Combine that with a trail arm that likes to get, this term is called internally, this is called externally rotated. You have a slightly internally rotated trail arm. So your trail arm is this way at the top. Combine those 2 things together, and what we notice is in transition, a right forearm that kind of dumps on top, so tracks this way, which would be called internal, right? That's a fancy golf teacher term. Add that with a shaft or with hands that have lacked depth, and your hands are back to where they started, and you haven't even started down yet. And so what does that mean? Well, you're going to have to figure something out, and you can just see yourself pulling on that shaft more and more and more and more, and all of a sudden this thing's pointing straight.
Oh yeah.
So you got no chance to hit draw. And so for a guy who wants to hit draw, I would say that you're not putting that club in position. Throw into the fact that I think in this effort to get the club back down, you're starting to pull on this handle a lot. There's a lot of lag there for a really long time. You can start seeing that glove hand kind of start cupping and getting high. That's a fairly open face, which means you're going to have to get really active in and around the golf ball. And then you see this kind of toss, tumble type move. So what I would want to see is first, I'd like to see you get deeper and leverage more of your pivot later to create depth. Again, that's hands behind you.
Okay.
Maybe talk a little bit about this trail arm. That might sort itself out by itself.
Okay.
But I think really from there, how do you get, I call it getting stronger and wider sooner. How do we get that club releasing a little bit sooner, that left wrist bowed a little bit more? So now the club is coming from the inside with a strong face. So now your only option is to try to push that thing out to the right, which should help you draw the golf ball.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So first at-home drill is just what we call turn and touch the wall. It's exactly what it sounds like. We're going to get our backside barely on or just off the wall. You're going to get in your golf posture, act like you're holding onto a golf club. From there, can you turn and touch the wall? And you want to touch it with the back of this hand. You're going to have that tendency to maybe pull that arm back a little bit. And you're going to get here, and your hands are probably going to be here the first time. So how do you turn and touch? Because if my hands got at or around my heels, I got plenty of depth to come from the inside. But if I bring my hands up, my tendency is going to be to pull down. When you pull down, you got to manipulate, and you're just tired of it. Right. So good golf posture.
No club, right?
No. Act like you're setting up. Good. Yep. Turn and touch. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's really further back than you anticipated with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
my guess is, you talked about, hey, I had this little problem in my hip. And my guess is when that hip,
sciatic nerve.
Here we go. That when that happened, that got less.
Yep.
And I would probably guess that because it was slightly uncomfortable, you just started doing this. Because the first time you did that, you went, whoa, that's way more than I felt.
Right.
Right? Do it again. Turn and touch.
Start with the butt against the red.
Yeah. That's really far back from this.
It does. I
Now-
realize I have a short backswing too, which makes it
Turn and touch. There you go. How did you just do that? What did you just feel?
I felt like I was like when I was turning, I just feel like I'm taking my hands more like that way. In a
Yeah,
sense.
I believe it.
Like more backwards.
Yeah.
That's what it,
And again, remember, I always think owning the why is important. You're doing that because then it's easier to come from the inside. Because if we lift, we're good, unless you're going to Furyk it, and I don't know how to teach that. So, like, if I'm here, and I'm not even saying you have to get to the wall in the golf swing. What I'm just saying is, where you were, your only option was to come straight back down.
Okay.
Right? We know that you have 3 useful things to shallow golf club in transition. Yours is steep and open. And one of those is creating depth. How much depth do you need to create? I don't know. Enough, right? And right now you create almost none, right? You create about that much, and we need you to create about that much. So do it again. Turn and touch. Really good. And again, maybe a little bit of an exaggeration, but enough for us to
That's what you got to do.
start understanding where we need to come from. So again, the first thing we know you like to do is you like to lift the club. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this shaft right over top of your trail shoulder. So go ahead and get set up. This wall makes sense. So you look in that back mirror, right? It kind of sits right above your shoulder. So if you lift, guess what happens? You hit it.
Right.
Right? So, again, look in the mirror just above your shoulder. Good. Now, give me your best turn and touch. Good. Now, here's the key. Over there, you did it with your pivot. There, you tried to do it with your arm. I don't want you to do it with your arms. I want you to do it with your pivot. Turn and touch. Hold it. That's not even. This is what it means. Arm ran away.
Yeah. So even like extending my arms back a little bit, right?
Yeah, so that's called width. Width is how far your hands
Yeah.
get behind you. We like width. We want width with depth.
Okay.
Width with depth. Whereas those first 2 rehearsals were narrow. Here you go. You get them up. I never said you couldn't get your arms up. I even think that's almost too far. Do it again. Which is good. Turn. Look at that in the mirror. Just like that. It's way different, right? Let me get one of those on camera for you. I want to show you what that looks like. All right, so good setup. We said that this is where your club was at address. And here's your club at address. And we said that the distance that this goes there is called depth. And yours got maybe to the top of your shoelaces. And we said, what would it be like if you felt like you turned and touched the wall? And that feels like a big stretch, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
And it's over your heels. And that's where I'd ultimately like it. I'd like it kind of sitting over your heels.
Okay.
It's kind of like our check. But you know what's interesting is look at how much you've changed your pivot.
I mean, that's way deeper.
Way deep. Right? And I think you did it productively because you did it with your pivot.
Okay.
Now, how much do you need to ultimately play your best golf? We'll learn, right? But just understand that depth via your pivot is probably the #1 thing that can help assist you to come from the inside.
Okay.
That's, to me, the biggest takeaway there. All right. Next, go ahead and get set up. Now, remember what we said. We would like to see you get what we call wider and stronger in the downswing, because you have that tendency to react from where you are. So go ahead and get set up again. Take it to the top. Turn and touch. Yeah, so that would be cheating the drill. So what did you start doing? You started,
My arms up first.
yep, you sucked the club inside, and you said we don't like that, right? You like your old backswing. So we still want to stay above that ball. That's good to know. Turn and touch. Nope, you went under it again.
I'm supposed to hit it?
No, you're supposed to stay on top of
Oh.
it. Yeah. Turn and touch. Yep. Now, as you come down, start coming down, can you get this club face to the ball. Turn and touch, and get to the ball. Yeah, come take a look at this. This is big time. Now again, your old swing would lift, and then you pull, and would see this very, very open face coming down, right? Wait, this face is right there. Watch this. Up, turning, touch the wall, great depth. Those guys ain't different.
That's wild.
So, things I really like. Club face. Club face. Right? This one's stronger. That one's more open. As this comes down, where that club face is. Where that club face is. So this club face is here. And this club face is there.
Sick.
And if you really, if we zoomed in, right? Look at that back of the hand. Look at that back of the hand. See how this one is pointing to the sky?
Mm-hmm.
This one's pointing down. But see, I think that's the only place you can go from where you were coming from. And that's what's important, is that understand that just because you saw where you were, but you had no other choice. I would say you had to do that to make that work coming forward. And the thing is we don't even have to do this perfect. We just know that if you get deeper through your pivot, and the club gets longer and stronger, right? That's what I call it, where the club gets away and twisted down more. And then we got to find the right answer, because there's a lot of questions that still have to be asked. How do you feel that? When do you do it? All this stuff, right? But all I know is that this guy and that guy are different.
Yes.
And this guy, I think, can hit draws. This guy, I don't know how he's supposed to hit draws.
I couldn't find a way.
So that's what we're trying to do today. Now, ultimately, so if you're in here, right? Right now, we got this set up as a drill. So the tennis ball drill is a good drill. Take it up to the top, feel the tennis ball come down. You can even shift it off a little bit, and then you can shift it out, right? And as I do that, the only option I have is to push my hands out and hit a drill. So turn and touch, down, a little off, right? I'm going to hit draws every single time from there. Eventually what we'll do is we'll take that, scoot it 4 to 6 inches, so you actually can't hit it. And then when that happens, I'm just going to scoot it forward. I'm going to be here, feel like I'm hitting the tennis ball, but just keep going. And then eventually we can add some speed to it, turn and touch, club to the tennis ball, and we can hit a push draw. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Sure.